Did Rupert Grint actually show up for Return to Hogwarts? What painful games did the cast play while shooting the Harry Potter movies? And why did Jason Isaac make Tom Felton cry? Here are some of the funniest and weirdest stories from HBO's Harry Potter reunion. We all saw Rupert Grint sitting with Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe in the Harry Potter special, right? I mean, he was right there. In fact, he was pretty hard to miss. Now, peep this. Some fans are convinced that the Rupert we saw in the special was actually a digital hologram broadcasting live from another continent. I know, right? How is that possible? According to the rumors, Rupert had other commitments in Toronto during the shoot, so the creators had to work some magic to get him into the same room as his childhood besties. One fan also noticed when the reunion came to an end, an entire Toronto filming crew featured in the credits. Try to wrap your head around that. Then again, we all saw that emotional friendship moment he shared with Emma, you know, when they held hands and said lovely things to each other.
I try not to get emotional.
Don't even pretend you didn't tear up. So how do you explain that scene, internet detectives? Oh, you have an answer? Some eagle-eyed viewers believe that Emma flew out to Toronto just to shoot that specific scene with her former co-star. But what led to this takeaway? Well, Emma was wearing different nail polish in her standalone scene with Rupert. So who really knows what went down behind the scenes? Let us know your thoughts. Now, let's rewind a sec. We can't not talk about that adorable exchange between Emma and Rupert, mainly because of how hilariously awkward it became when they discussed their big kissing scene in Deathly Hallows Part 2. Emma recalled how they originally planned a dramatic makeout session, but their shyness ultimately prevented that from happening.
Because you and I just kept corpsing, like we just kept laughing. And I was just really scared we were never going to get it because we just couldn't take it seriously.
Of course, Rupert Grint was never going to make the first move. I know. Big shock there. So Emma had to do all of the hard work.
I knew I was going to kind of have to be the one to kind of make this thing happen because Rupert was not going to. So I just had to go for it.
Daniel didn't offer much in the way of support either. Come to think of it, he only added to their nerves.
I did not make this better because I've been told significantly that I was just being an absolute about this and was like, I'm gonna come on set and watch you guys kiss.
Kissing her buddy was certainly awkward for Emma, but how did she feel when she watched the special and saw that another famous actress had replaced her? If you watched Return to Hogwarts, you probably remember seeing the cast's childhood pictures on the screen as they recalled their experiences growing up. You laughed and said things like, "Aw, weren't they adorable back then?" And then you sat back in shock as a photo of Emma Roberts appeared instead of one of the Emma who played Hermione. Now, don't get me wrong, Emma Roberts is awesome, but this is the Harry Potter reunion special we're talking about here. Not Angus, thongs, and perfect snogging. People tuned in to go on a trip down memory lane with the Hogwarts gang. Still, the correct Emma saw the funny side. In fact, she even took to Instagram afterwards and called the other Emma cute. That wasn't the only example of mistaken identity in Return to Hogwarts either. James and Oliver Phelps' names were swapped around during one of their interview scenes. Of course, that's quite understandable considering that they're identical twins. Plus, Fred and George were always pretending to be each other in the Harry Potter franchise. They probably confused the poor video editors.
He's not Fred, I am. Honestly, woman, you call yourself our mother.
Oh, I'm sorry, George.
I'm only joking. I am Fred.
Still, we can't just blame the technical hiccups in Return to Hogwarts on the video editors. Director Mike Newell also had a brain fart when he claimed that The Goblet of Fire was the longest book in the series. That suggests that he never read the books, as everyone knows that the Order of the Phoenix is the weightiest tome of the bunch. But he's probably learned from that mistake since then, as Harry Potter fans were quick to point it out on social media afterwards. Of course, we can't be too mad at Mike. I mean, the dude literally broke his ribs while showing the cast how to perform an action sequence. So you can't accuse Mike of not going the extra mile for our entertainment. More so, his colleagues all enjoyed watching the 60-year-old man roll around with one of the Phelps twins.
I had made a complete twit of myself, and everybody felt much better for that.
While we're on the topic of directors, let's talk about Chris Columbus. He was given the almighty task of turning a group of inexperienced child actors into bona fide movie stars during the Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. But he was the biggest kid of them all.
They kept us having fun the whole time. Obviously, we were just kids, and we were all looking forward to mucking about together. Chris Columbus made the atmosphere very much like a fun fair.
But just how did the young actors keep themselves amused between takes? By playing slaps, of course. And oh boy, did it sound like a painful experience.
All of us red,
I think we
raw
also
hands,
upgraded to knuckles
hitting
as
each
well,
other
and we're
really
like,
hard.
Oh, and shins.
Yeah.
I remember the shin version.
While Chris was all about having fun on the set, director Alfonso Cuaron was like a teacher. In Return to Hogwarts, the young actors recalled how he made them write about their characters as a part of a thoughtful assignment. Daniel wrote a few pages, Emma turned in an entire thesis, and Rupert didn't bother with the task at all.
Didn't do it. And I said, Rupert, where's your assignment? It says, well, I thought that Ron wouldn't do it.
But was Rupert being lazy, or had he become one with his character?
Rupert is Ron. It's just Ron 100%. Emma is just such an effortless actor.
The young cast didn't understand just how important some of their colleagues were at the time either. The Harry Potter movies feature some of the most legendary actors in the history of British cinema, after all. However, Tom Felton thought that Richard Harris was a tour guide when he first met him. Fortunately, the veterans were all super cool to work with, even if you wouldn't think it after seeing some of their characters. For example, Uncle Dursley was a big old meanie head to Harry in the books and movies, but Richard Griffiths was a sweetheart to Daniel Radcliffe behind the scenes.
His passing was the one that has affected me most because he was generous with knowledge. He was just like wanted to share everything with you.
Sadly, Richard isn't the only beloved actor we've lost from the Harry Potter franchise. John Hurt, Alan Rickman, Helen McCrory, and Richard Harris have all moved on to King's Cross Station. But the memories of working alongside those amazing character actors will be cherished by Daniel Radcliffe for the rest of his life.
You know, I'll be very, very old one day saying, like, I knew that absolute legend.
The cast and crew also recalled a hilarious story about Richard Harris behind the scenes during the special. Basically, the actor wasn't familiar with the wonders of modern movie technology, so he thought Fox was a real bird. Naturally, Daniel and the gang never told Richard that Fox was an animatronic puppet, but I'm sure he discovered the truth after old Fox burst into flames.
He just caught fire.
Oh, and about time too.
Unfortunately, Return to Hogwarts failed to honor one key figure in the memoriam. Some fans were upset to discover that Barry the dog had been left out of the proceedings. The canine might not have been the face of the franchise, but as Sirius Black's Animagus, he played an important role in the movies all the same. But enough of that. Let's return to the fun vibes. Did you know that Tom Felton was terrified of one co-star? And no, it wasn't Emma Watson.
You foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach!
Can you guess who it was?
Didn't touch anything, Draco.
During the special, Tom recalled how Jason Isaacs was a scary freaking dude whenever he was in full Lucius Malfoy mode.
In fact, working with Jason was not always a treat. Just immediately turned into the most unfriendly, horrible person.
But how did Jason feel about working with Tom?
I adored Tom from the second I met him, but he was always just the biggest sweetheart.
Still, being fond of young Draco didn't stop Jason from injuring his colleague. You know that scene we watched in which Lucius whacked Draco with his serpent cane? That actually went too far.
I didn't know how sharp the teeth were, and they went right into little Tom's hands. And he looked up at me and his eyes welled with tears.
But Tom was a good sport at the end of the day. In fact, he actually thought the emotional distress and physical pain was good for the scene. So it was worth it in the end. It goes without saying that the Harry Potter movies have brought a lot of magic to our lives. But just how much of an impact did they have on the lives of the cast who grew up in front of the entire world? Sure, the films turned a group of young rascals into overnight megastars. But the friendships they made behind the scenes are even more valuable than fame, fortune, glitz, and glamour.
It feels like you're like a pillar of my life.
It's a very overwhelming thing because I've watched you grow up. We've watched each other grow up. We grew up together. We're family.
And they'll always be a huge part of each other's lives.
Even though we don't see each other all the time, yeah, it's a strong bond that we'll always have. And
Return to Hogwarts gave us Harry Potter fans some much-needed closure. And it's wonderful to know that the cast and crew look back at their time spent together so fondly. Of course, it's impossible not to mention that the creator herself, JK Rowling, reportedly declined an invitation to appear in Return to Hogwarts, feeling that archival footage would be adequate enough. But we're eternally grateful for the world she created, and we're still celebrating it 20 years later. What was your favorite story? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of the other magical Harry Potter videos on our channel. Thanks for watching.